Today we'll be talking about parallel and perpendicular lines and how to write the equation of a line that is parallel or is perpendicular to a line of a given equation. So parallel lines have the same slope. These two lines are parallel. They will never intersect. They have the same slope. Perpendicular lines intersect and they form a 90-degree angle. The slopes of perpendicular lines are opposite reciprocals. So let's look at parallel lines and what their equations look like. We talked about that they have the same slope. Remember, slope is m in slope-intercept form. So 1/2 and 1/2. These are the same in these two equations, and that is what makes those lines parallel. They will be at the same slope or slant, you can think of it that way, and they intersect the y-axis at different points. So these lines will never intersect. Perpendicular lines have opposite reciprocals, and let's look at what that means. The first equation has a slope of 4/5, and the second equation has the fraction flipped 5/4 and has the opposite sign. So we have to do two things to make a line perpendicular, and that is to flip the fraction and give it the opposite sign. So if in your first equation the fraction is negative, then you would make the second equation positive and flip the fraction, and vice versa. So first we're going to determine whether these equations have parallel lines or perpendicular lines or neither. We need to have the equations in slope-intercept form to determine that, because we need to know what the slope is. So we are going to change these equations into slope-intercept form. Remember, we want it to look like y equals mx plus b. M is what we're looking for. That is what we want to know. What is m? So in number 1, 3y equals 4x plus 15, and 9x plus 12y equals 12. If we want to know whether they're parallel or perpendicular, I need to convert them. So let's divide by 3 because we need to get y by itself. This becomes y equals 4/3x plus 5. Now we know that m is 4/3 for that equation. For 9x plus 12y equals 12, to convert this equation, I need to subtract 9x. And then divide by 12. So this equation becomes y equals -9/12. You can put that in your calculator and simplify it. This will be -3/4x plus 1. So now I can see that the slope of this equation is -3/4. These slopes are opposite reciprocals. It's a flipped fraction, and they have opposite signs. So that means that these two equations will form perpendicular lines. Number 2, 3x minus y equals 2. So we need to change this again into slope-intercept form to find the slope. So subtract 3x. And then divide by -1. Y equals positive 3x minus 2. So my slope is 3. 12x minus 4y equals 4. I'll need to subtract 12x. And then divide by -4. I'm going a little quickly through these conversions because we did learn this in a previous set of notes. So if you're not sure about that, go back to the video where we learned how to convert standard form to slope-intercept form. Y equals positive 3x minus 1. So you can see that these two equations have the same slope. The slope is 3. That makes these lines parallel. Number 3. One of these equations is already in slope-intercept form. Y equals negative 3 over 2x plus 5. I need to convert the second equation. Subtract 2x and then divide by 3. Y equals negative 2 over 3x minus 1. So my first equation, the slope is negative 3 over 2. And the second equation, my slope is negative 2 over 3. Now, they do not have the same slope, so they're not parallel. And they also do not have opposite reciprocals because they're both negative. So these are neither. They are not parallel or perpendicular. Number 4, y equals 6 and x equals negative 1. So looking at these equations, we should know what the slopes are because remember our acronyms, HOI and VUX. So when I see an equation with only y in it, I'm going to think of HOI, which is a horizontal line with a 0 slope crossing the y-axis. So the slope for this equation is 0. For VUX, when I see an equation with only x, no y, I'm going to think of VUX, vertical line with an undefined slope crossing the x-axis. So if I have a horizontal line, which has a 0 slope, and a vertical line, which has an undefined slope, these form a 90-degree angle, and that means that these lines are perpendicular. Number 5. The second equation is already in slope-intercept form. I need to convert the first equation. Subtract 5x divide by negative 1. Y equals positive 5x minus 4. So I have a slope of 5 and a slope of negative 1 over 5. So if you think of the whole number 5 as a fraction, you'd put it over 1. So these are actually perpendicular lines because they are opposite reciprocals. They have opposite signs and the fraction is flipped. So these are perpendicular. Number 6, the second equation is given in slope-intercept form. Let's convert the first one. Subtract 3x and then divide by 2. So the slope in the first equation is negative 3 over 2, and the slope in the second equation is negative 3 over 2. So they are the same, and that makes these two lines parallel. So now we want to be able to look at an equation and be given a point on a line and write the equation of a line that is parallel or perpendicular to the given equation. So first, let's work on parallel. So we want to create the equation of a line that is parallel to the equation of the line that's given. So the most important thing to find is the slope. So the slope for this line is -4. So if we know that the slope is -4, that is m. And then we have a point, -2, 7. So if we know the slope and a point, we can use the point slope formula. Y equals m times x minus h plus k. And this will be h and k. So let's plug in these values. Let's see, I'm going to use blue and orange here. So y equals m, which is -4, times x minus -2 plus 7. Now I can simplify this. So first I'm going to get rid of that double negative. Y equals -4 times x plus 2 plus 7. Distribute the -4. So we have y equals -4x. -4 times 2 is -8 plus 7. Y equals -4x. Oops, -4x. And combine like terms would be my last step. -1. So this is the equation of a line that is parallel to the given equation because they have the same slope. Number 8. Again, we're wanting to write the equation of a line that is parallel to x minus 3y equals 9. And the line will pass through the point 3, -1. So we need the slope. We have to convert this equation into slope-intercept form. Subtract x. Divide by -3. Y equals +1/3x minus 3. So the slope is m. The slope is 1/3. So our new equation will also have that. To make it parallel, it has to be the same slope. This is m. And then we have a point, 3, -1. We want the equation of a line that goes through that point. So we can use the point slope formula. H and K are what we need to plug in. Y equals 1/3 times x minus 3 minus 1. Distribute. So we have 1/3x minus 1 minus 1. If you have a hard time with fractions and multiplying, I highly suggest using a calculator. 1/3 times -3. I don't want people to get stuck on the fraction part of it because that's not the skill we're focusing on. So go ahead and just use a calculator. Last step is combine like terms. 1/3x minus 2. And this is the equation of a line that is parallel to x minus 3y equals 9. Now let's work on writing equations for perpendicular lines. So I'm given the point 4, 3, and we want a line that's perpendicular to y equals 2x minus 4. So this means that we want a slope that is an opposite reciprocal. So m in the given equation is 2. So we need to know what is the opposite reciprocal of 2. So 2 over 1, the opposite reciprocal would be negative 1 over 2. So this, I'm going to erase this m. This is going to be m. And then we have h and k. Y equals negative 1 over 2 times x minus 4 plus 3. Distribute. Negative 1/2 times x is negative 1/2 x. Negative 1/2 times negative 4 is positive 2. Plus 3. Combine like terms. And I have y equals negative 1/2 x plus 5. This is the equation of a line that goes through the point 4,3 and is perpendicular to the line y equals 2x minus 4. Last example of the day. We're given the point. We're given the line 5x plus 3y equals negative 21, and we want to write the equation of a line that is perpendicular to that line and goes through that point. Let's find the slope. Subtract 5x. Divide by 3. So the slope of this line is negative 5 over 3, and we want a line that is perpendicular. So we need the slope to have the opposite sign. So we're going to use a positive slope and flip the fraction. So positive 3 over 5 is going to be our slope. That's m. Now we have h and k. When you subtract a negative number, it becomes positive, so it's x plus 5 plus 1. Three over 5x plus 3 plus 1. Combine like terms. The equation of the perpendicular line is 3 over 5x plus 4. So that's what you'll be doing in today's practice.